Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
How will the Vikings use their boatload of cap space is a question we're going to dip our toes into here today. Kind of combing through the internal options first. This is just the start of our juicy off-season series of episodes. I think maybe next Monday or Tuesday, we were texting about it last night. We'll unleash our first hour-long off-season blueprint episode, which we did a handful of those last year. Mm-hmm. But it's cold out there. And we got an email saying, hey, there's HVAC heating issues in the building. So can MSP Plumbing and Heating help on days like this, situations like this?
Of course they can. And
okay.
It starts here with this guy showing up at your house. I don't know his name, but I do know that he is a professional. He's fantastic. And he's part of a team that is very committed to making your home safe, warm, and sound. MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air can take care of all of those problems because for over a century, families have relied on them for plumbing, drains, heating, and cooling needs. A 100% family-owned and operated business, MSP is committed to taking care of your family. Right now, by the way, get $50 off any HVAC or plumbing repair. Give them a call, 651-615-4292, or check out their website, callmsp.com. Call msp.com because that's right. You know what? This is not the time to have your furnace go out. If you even suspect problems, msp.com is the place to start so that on a day like this, you are toasty inside.
Also, Prize Picks, where you can win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Super easy, fun way to have a companion while you sweat these sporting events. You select between 2 and 6 players. You pick more or less on their projected stats, and you place your entry. And once in a while, or near weekly, it seems like, they'll just give you a square almost for free, so to speak here. 0.5 passing yards for Jaden Daniels. I know the Eagles have a formidable defense, but I think we'll take the more on that. And then Saquon Barkley, 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns combined. So they're giving you a couple fun ones there this week going into Championship Sunday. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code Purple Daily. Get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's code Purple Daily on Prize Picks to get $50 when you play just $5. So the Vikings have top 5 cap space going in. Now, there's ways you could free up more. It's not. I will put 2 warnings out. One, there's always ways for teams, including the Vikings, to free up more cap space. So the numbers that you see, let's pull up over the cap here. So the Patriots currently have going into the offseason, $112 million in effective cap space. The Raiders at 85. Commanders, great setup there. You got Jaden Daniels. You're in the conference championship game. And $71 million in cap space. Mm-hmm. Cardinals, 67.9. Vikings between $55 and $60 million in projected cap space. 5th in the NFL. There's ways they could free up by converting, restructuring, converting base salary to signing bonus, prorate, all that stuff in the weeds. But also, it's not just about the 2025 cap space. It's the multi-year cap space. When you have a rookie scale quarterback, you don't have like the Lions, for instance, have Jared Goff bloating 2026-27 with huge numbers. And so you got to look at kind of a multi-year window. But the Vikings are sitting in a great spot with their cap space going into March. However, according to Jason from Over the Cap, the Vikings are also tied for 4th in the NFL with 24 unrestricted free agents from this last year's roster. They rank 1st in the NFL with 15 free agents who played at least 35% of the team snaps. So they're losing over a third of the team snaps to free agency.
This is where the drafts bite you in the ass.
Right, because you're not next man upping as much as you would, right?
Exactly.
So he says the cap space may go quickly just to fill the in-house voids that are leaving. So let's start with the in-house free agents who are leaving and just kind of go one by one and talk about, do we want them back? Is there an obvious replacement on the current roster? Because the more of these guys you can replace internally, the less you'll have to spend in free agency or draft capital, right? So you guys ready to go through this exercise?
I've got
Roll
the list
up
right
on
here
it.
too. Yeah.
Okay.
I went through it this morning.
Well, Sam Darnold, we'll start there. I mean, he played like almost all of this is where that stat is kind of deceiving. It's like, yeah, Sam Darnold played a bajillion snaps.
Yes.
But you're not replacing him with your cap space. You're actually saving cap space to put J.J. McCarthy in
There's
place
a couple of these exactly. Where it's
So
not
that
like
one-
we got to go find a quarterback.
Right, 100%.
Or
In
left
fact,
tackle.
that's the most important thing is you are replacing potentially all of those snaps with something far less than market value in free agency. Aaron Jones, in-house free agent.
Only comes back on my terms. Like I would definitely bring him back. I would not be adverse to another 1-year contract. He played when he left the Packers. The Vikings signed him to a 1-year guaranteed $7 million deal, which was very fair. And you got more than 1,000 yards. So like he had a nice year. There are deficiencies in the run game. And the thing that concerns me the most about him in particular is he is continually, as the Packers knew, banged up. And he didn't, it's weird. He played in every game, but if you go back through the season, he missed a quarter here. He was questionable there.
Yeah.
I do not want him to be my main back. And so if he does not come back on my terms, I say thank you. Fantastic. Great in the room, but we are probably going to go in a different direction.
PFF projects him to get a 2-year, $8 million guaranteed, $14 million total contract.
Wow. He made
That's what he's
about
projected.
7 this
He
year.
made 7 this year on a 1-year deal.
So 2 years, 8 guaranteed, similar deal.
Depending on how it's structured, that's not
I will
terrible.
say, like, unless they're going to go sign, like one of these free agent running backs or trade for a running back, I guess that couldn't be out of the picture either. Like Cam Akers, but still, okay, like if you get the rookie, which is great, go get a rookie with your limited draft capital, by the way. Like behind the rookie, it is a shrug emoji, and in my opinion, that's not fixing the running game either. Like that, they love to put in a back every third series. Like it's Cam Akers and those 2 Achilles are hanging by threads. Ty Chandler ain't it. So like I think actually the position group as a whole, like they're gonna have to figure out how they want to attack that.
That Jones contract, though, that projection is probably just about fair.
When he's out there, by the way, he's effective. He's not.
Yes.
I see now why the Packers they had a different vision. I think between the tackles, Josh Jacobs, just kind of a bruising, especially in the red zone. Aaron Jones early in his career had a bunch of touchdowns. He had like double-digit touchdowns, maybe second year in the league or something. But if it were Aaron Jones coming in and, hey, it's going to be a timeshare, dude, like we're probably drafting someone in the 5th round or the 3rd round, or maybe, I mean, hell, if the Iowa running back or Boise State, maybe it's a 1st round. That you have to have a better running back room. So,
yes.
And you know what? Like if you wind up paying to Dex's contract projection there, let's say you wind up paying $7 million again to the cap-ish for Aaron Jones, and then you bring in a rookie scale like 3rd rounder or even a 1st rounder. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's too steep a price to pay to have 2 really, really like a good veteran and then a high upside 1st round pick that you feel good about that can change a game inside the 15-yard line.
And this is a really, as far as I can tell, really good guy. Like
Aaron,
I think he'd be a perfect fit here. Like I don't think he is. There is nothing I saw in his character that would tell me that, well, if he's not the main guy, it's going to cause problems, which has to be taken into account somewhat. So, like, if you were to have a rookie who was the workhorse more, but Jones spelled him and played a little bit more of the role that Cam Akers probably played eventually, and I think the Ty Chandler days are done. So, yes, I would do that.
Yeah. Okay, to clean up the rest of the offense here, because most of the key free agents actually are on defense in terms of, like, snaps played. But the Vikings are losing, and I'm not including some of the backup offensive linemen that are becoming free agent. Like I think Quessenberry is a free agent. Well, he's like like those are like league minimum depth guys. Yeah.
Let's break that one down.
If Dan Feeney leaves, you'll go find the next Dan Feeney to be your 8th offensive lineman. So we're not. All due respect to the Feeney family, to Dan Feeney's his father, Mr. Feeney, who was on a 90s sitcom. Boy Meets World. So Cam Robinson played 65% of the snaps as your starting left tackle, but you're just going to plug in a better left tackle.
Again, this is where like oh my God, they're going to lose guys. Yeah, okay. Christian Darrisaw should come back here.
I am intrigued by the idea of getting creative. The conversation we had yesterday it was yesterday, about Mekhi Becton going from left tackle failure to right guard stud in the run blocking game. Is there a Cam Robinson, hey man, like your career is taking a different direction now in your late 20s, 30, and we would actually love you to transition to guard. If they thought that was a viable discussion, I'm here for it. Otherwise, just he hits free agency, you say goodbye.
Yeah, and I think the question is this, though. So he came here and played left tackle, and the last one or two games seemed to be a struggle, but he played pretty well. So I don't think a guy's going to stop playing tackle to make guard money unless he thinks his career is, like in Becton's case, unraveling. So I think it's probably a difficult, hey, Mr. Left Tackle, Darrisaw's back, and we want to pay you like a guard. So I would guess that Cam and his reps probably are going to want to at least explore the potential. Because if I'm a starting left tackle, I'm probably making quite a bit more than if I shift inside.
It depends. Like, yeah, on in theory, but if you turn into be a stud guard it could actually extend your career where you make a lot more money instead of being a wash.
He's 32, so there's definitely an age case to be made that he should consider it. I'm just not sure he would.
Would you rather bring back Cam Robinson or Dalton Risner, though? I guess Phil was just about to say there.
So yeah, let's throw Risner in this conversation. He played about 50%, 55% of the snaps as a star. You're good. Just good.
I'm good on Dalton.
He was rock solid in pass protection, but is just in terms of getting out there, outside zone, run blocking scheme. He just
Football.
Kind of a one-trick pony. Now you need pass protectors too, and he was better at that than Ed Ingram was. But there's a reason why it's like 6 years into his career, and he's kind of bouncing around, and no one's really eager to sign him in March. I think there's probably better options out there. But you would be losing, and I don't think you're just going to plug Ed Ingram back in because there's a reason he was benched halfway through the season. So you would be looking for a right guard at that point in free agency or the draft.
And I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Preferably on the market. Like, I just don't know that I trust, and plus what with 3 to 4 potential draft picks, I don't know that you're going to want to expend one of those on guard. So, yeah, I think that at least one of those guard spots has to be addressed with a significant signing, and I don't see a way around it this time.
Yeah. The only player internally that I think, because some of this exercise is there anyone internally that you can plug in and not have to spend free agency dollars or draft capital to fill that spot? Okay, Darrisaw plug in, J.J. McCarthy plug in. I don't know that there is a guard solution internally. Maybe Michael Juergens, who's an interior offensive lineman, 7th rounder. They were grooming him more of as a center in training camp. But like, that's a huge unknown. That's the same thing they've been doing for 10 years, which is, let's try this guy.
Correct. A late round draft pick who might be able to play. No. I want to address this.
Yeah.
For real this time.
Okay, defense. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of big snap guys who are hitting unrestricted free agency. So would you bring them back? If not, is there an internal replacement, or are you got to go spend your stash? Cam Bynum.
This is tough.
Okay, let's start with this one. Originally, I said I think he's gone because I don't know that the Vikings equation on how to build a roster includes paying a safety a lot. But let's reverse this a little bit and do some roster construction, okay? If Harrison Smith retires, he's 36, there's a decent chance that he's done. You want Josh Metellus to stay in his rover role. He has perfected it. I don't see any good solution where it's, hey, Harrison Smith is done playing, Cam signed with the Bears, and we are going to have Josh Metellus now play a traditional safety. I think if Harrison retires, Theo Jackson, who's a restricted free agent, which means he's coming back probably. Theo Jackson then can ideally take the Harrison Smith role. And I think there's a much better chance that you actually do work to keep Bynum then. I'm not saying it's for sure, but I just, if the answer is, hey, Josh Metellus is going to have to play more traditional safety, especially if Flores is back, I don't know that's a great answer to that equation.
So you would be convincing, because Harrison Smith, I think he technically is under contract for one more year. They like restructured and put a bunch of void years on the end.
I think it's a void. Yeah, I think you're right.
But so you'd ideally, because the problem is you could lose Harrison Smith to retirement and Cam Bynum to free agency.
Correct.
And we think we trust Judd's camp notes. And for 2 years, Judd's camp notes has been all over Theo Jackson.
And he's 27 now, and they love him.
And he's been, even when he gets in, he only played like 80 snaps on defense, but he looked really good a few times, making flash plays, right?
Incredibly intelligent.
But if you lose both those guys, and now it's like, okay, Theo Jackson's going to jump in,
right,
and we're optimistic, but he's never done this before on a full season basis.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you go from being one of the strongest position groups in the NFL at safety to just being like a shrug emoji. So this is something to watch.
Looks like his projected contract, too, from PFF is 3 years, $42 million total, 28.2 guaranteed. So an average annual value of $14 million per.
That's a lot, man.
That's a big payday, but he's the thing that this team has at safety is not only good players, but incredibly smart ones. And again, if Flores is back, Bynum knows the system backward and forward. So if you don't bring him back and you sign a guy, you're going to have to teach him and hope that he is as effective back there. I'm just saying I'm more open to the Bynum discussion than I was at first, because when I was going through this entire list, I only defensively highlighted 2 guys as like priority guys here.
And he was one.
And he is one of them.
Okay.
I think you're right on that. Let's get to the second group.
There's a lot of slappies here.
Because I think your next one that you highlighted is, let's get to the cornerbacks. So the 3 cornerbacks that played by far the majority of snaps for you were Byron Murphy Jr., who played the most snaps of any player on defense. He was out there the entire season.
Yep.
And then Stephon Gilmore played 85% of the team snaps.
Yeah.
And Shaq Griffin played about 50% of the team snaps. No other cornerback played more than 105 snaps. So there's like 1,100 snaps to go around for a full season. So no other quarterback played more than like 8% of the. It was Fabian Moreau, another veteran. So they were in like they'd have 3 safeties on the field, because Metellus is out there. They had kind of these hybrid looks. But Shaq Griffin, Stephon Gilmore, Byron Murphy Jr., all of them unrestricted free agents. Fair to say that Mekhi Blackmon steps in for one of them internally coming off the knee injury?
Yes, that's the plan.
So that would leave, let's say Mekhi Blackmon steps in for Stephon Gilmore. Bring Byron Murphy Jr. back on a multi-year contract. He's still pretty young, right? 27, somewhere in there?
Yes, 27.
And then that leaves one of your 3 cornerback spots just open for draft or free agency.
Dex, what's the projection on the Murphy contract, by the way?
3 years, 52 total, 34.5 guaranteed, AAV of 17.3.
It's a lot of money, but you got to spend it somewhere, and that's a premium position. And he has been great in this scheme. I think all of the potential that he showed in Arizona, one-on-one coverage, like he took a big step, man. He took a big step in 2024.
So if he continues to play like this, and in 2023 he was, I think at best, okay. In 2024 he was damn good. And if Blackmon comes back as planned, and Mekhi Blackmon, when he got to play in his rookie year, I thought was pretty good, okay? I think if you start from that basis, you're in pretty good shape there. Dwight McLaughlin's a guy that they developed. I don't know how they feel about him. I think they like him. And then there's a potential. So like if we're also looking outside to say, What areas are you going to address directly with all of this cap room that you still have? I think cornerback could still be one for sure outside of Murphy. I think guard. And then ideally interior defensive line. But I don't hate your starting point at corner. If Murphy comes back, Blackman's back, I don't think that
McLaughlin's in the room.
Yeah, I don't think you're screwed. And I hate to say this because I don't like to go cheap on corner, but I will say Shaq Griffin sort of proved that you don't have to break the bank if you don't think that that's the responsible thing to do.
And you could actually bring either one of those guys back, Stephon Gilmore or Shaq Griffin, on like a 1-year deal.
Yeah, it's not going to cost you.
They're both PFF kind of grades them out as they're both like league average cornerbacks, and you could do a hell of a lot worse than a league average. But now, if you have 3 league average cornerbacks, you're going to get torched. Someone needs to be.
Yes.
So we're basically saying right now, to do this exercise, you got to spend big or draft a guard, spend big or draft a cornerback. The safety situation, you kind of have to see what happens with Harrison Smith. On the defensive line, 4 guys who played significant snaps for you. Patrick Jones, but I think you're sliding Dallas Turner into that role.
Yeah.
That's not a hard decision, actually.
Yep, I agree.
Jihad Ward, who's been kind of a journeyman, but Jihad Ward schematically was a perfect fit. He helped open up so many opportunities on these stunts that they run. He was like the assist man on these stunts and twists that opened up for Grenard and Van Ginkel and Blake Cashman to get their sacks and pressures.
He should want to come back.
Yeah, and you could he's not going to break the bank.
No.
He's a kind of a veteran swing lineman.
He'd be wise in Flores' scheme. You're right. He fit in perfectly, and that shouldn't be lost on a guy who sort of bounced around previously. So he should come back, basically by his own decision.
Yeah, he also on his own had 31 pressures this season, playing limited snaps.
He's used really well.
So if you could bring him back for cheap, and then Jonathan Bullard and Jerry Tillery as your kind of your down lineman defensive tackle types, they did just re-sign Jalen Redmond he was a practice squad guy, but he flashed a couple times, got hurt. So you're probably replacing one of those guys with Jalen Redmond. Levi Drake Rodriguez has been on your kind of back burner, but they don't really have a guy in there next to Harrison Phillips that you really trust to wreak havoc. It's just been a platoon and a revolving door the last couple of years.
Yes.
Would you bring back either Jonathan Bullard or Jerry Tillery?
I'd bring back one of them on the right contract.
Okay.
Because, as I said, my priority list right now, my big board, would be guard, corner, defensive tackle. But I think if I was to break off my big board into potential splash signings, it's probably guard and defensive tackle. If I'm going to have a big chunk of change here, which I probably do, it's one of those 2 spots.
And I think the bad news is that unlike the last couple of years where there's been some premium defensive tackles that hit the market, that's not really the case right now. Now there could be some cuts, or maybe there's a veteran that winds up. Sometimes a veteran will get cut that's still got some, but in terms of guys in their prime hitting free agency for the first time, it's not quite as stacked. Trey Smith is hitting his prime first time in free agency as an offensive guard, but there's not as many turnkey solutions at defensive tackle as in previous years.
That's unfortunate.
That might be where you use your first round pick. Just go get someone, and then you're drafting running back in the 3rd or 5th, and then cornerback, whatever. I don't know. Well, and we'll have to see if maybe there's a trade option that we're not thinking of too, where he's willing to part ways with a 3rd round pick to go get an established player that makes a lot of money or something.
And if you upgrade significantly interior offensive line, the run game improves too.
100%.
Because it's not the running backs all suck. They're not good. It's no, the entire operation is screwed up.
Yep. So, all right. So that's kind of what we're looking at it's a little over exaggerated when Over the Cap puts it like that, where they're losing 35% of their starting snaps to free agency. Well, they're immediately covering up the two most important positions with in-house options, quarterback and left tackle. And they've got a couple guys in the secondary that are going to step right in and start. And then they have a first-round pick in Dallas Turner that's going to step in for Patrick Jones, who played about 45% of the snaps this year. So, like, those premium positions, they do on paper have guys covered jumping in, but they still have some holes. So let's give you guys a Brian Flores update and also the big Ben Johnson news we can react to here. But if you're looking to move out of the frigid cold, Declan has a company that you could call.
Yeah, you can hit up 2 Men in a Junk Truck, 2 Men in a Truck to also do moves. They do both. They will help you move they'll help you move to somewhere warmer, hopefully. And they'll also help you get rid of that unwanted junk. You know, maybe you still have the Christmas tree up. I don't know if the Zolgads have the Christmas tree up or the Mackeys took that thing down. My wife took it down the other day.
December 26th is our day to take it down.
The 26th is your day to take it down?
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like even after Christmas, I've just inherited more junk, and I don't know what the hell to do with it, and we're running out of places to put it. Our friends at 2 Men in a Junk Truck can help you get rid of that unwanted junk. What they quote you is what you pay. There's no hidden fees or service charges. Book your free, no-obligation appointment at 2menindajuncktruck.com.
If you want to envision that it's summertime and you're on a boat when it's minus 11 degrees here today in the Twin Cities, the Minneapolis Boat Show, the best in boating, headed to the Minneapolis Convention Center this weekend. The Discover Boating Minneapolis Boat Show in partnership with Progressive Insurance. Easy for me to say. This Thursday through Sunday, more boats, more brands, great deals, a great place to buy new boats, explore pontoons, cruisers, and accessories for your boating lifestyle. Go to minneapolisboatshow.com to learn more and purchase tickets. That's minneapolisboatshow.com. Also, a shout out to Federated, helping power Purple Daily, keeping this a daily show all throughout the offseason. Federated Mutual Insurance Company. It is like fixing your offensive line. It's like giving yourself as a business owner frontline protection. So while you focus on growing your business, they focus on safety, preventing claims, and risk management. Federated's been around since 1904, helping business owners, not just in the state of Minnesota, but all around the country, wherever you are consuming Purple Daily. Federatedinsurance.com to find out more information. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. Okay, coaching carousel. So we can touch on the Ben Johnson news here in a second. But Brian Flores, he interviewed with 3 different teams. The Bears, well, they just hired Ben Johnson, so they're off the board. The Jets, and according to The Athletic, the Jets have only scheduled 1 second interview with a head coach, and it's Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator.
Yep.
So if that goes, I'm assuming that they're just going to not let him leave the building. And then the Jaguars, and according to Adam Schefter, the Jags have 3 guys coming in for in-person second interviews. It's Raiders former defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, Robert Saleh, and then Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen. So as of right now, the 3 teams that Brian Flores interviewed with, 1 already hired their guy, and the other 2 have a second round happening without Brian Flores. So he's coming back, right? I mean, at this point, unless something crazy happens with one of these other jobs, or Aaron Glenn goes somewhere else and the Jets circle back, it looks like Brian Flores is coming back here.
Yes, and I think to go back to a conversation that we've had a bunch of times, I think when you are actively still, I don't know how it's still going, but it is suing the league and the commissioner, the teams are going to be, like this is the owners for the most part are a boys club, right? And they're billionaires. And they are all in sort of cahoots. And so it always seemed fairly difficult that he was going to get a job while suing the league. Now, that being said, the Vikings' success was almost impossible, especially with how well the defense played for a long time, to overlook. Unfortunately for Flores and the entire team, the last 2 games probably gave you a little bit of ammunition to say, hold on a second here. What happened in those 2 games? So, like, if you were looking for an out, that became a pretty easy one. So, unfortunately for him, I think he's coming back. But it's fortunate, of course, for the Vikings, because if he comes back, that keeps the entire system in place. And yes, those last 2 games had some issues. But that being said, overall, the guy's done a fantastic job. So if you're the Vikings, I don't think you're going to have any complaints. In fact, you know what? I'd give him a raise too.
I mean, I did hear some groveling from corners of Vikings fanville out there, and maybe it's just too much time on social media, that his defense was exposed. The Lions and the Rams have exposed.
Well,
I guess my comeback to that would be the NFL, man, like there's some really good offensive players out there right now and some great offensive lines. And you're not gonna hold teams to 13 points. Like you're gonna get into battles and you're not gonna win all of them. But if you compare the body of work of what Brian Flores has done the last 2 years with some random subpar pieces that he's using for they're literally bringing in veteran cornerbacks off the scrap heap on the eve of training camp. They're running back like former bust first round picks as starting down defensive linemen. They don't have like a fully stocked roster on defense. And he's taking some assorted pieces and turning it into one of the best defenses in the NFL. He's awesome at his job.
Also, the Lions game, they eventually tired out. They didn't get exposed. Like that. The Vikings could have won that game if the quarterback had played well. So like that final score was not indicative of the actual game.
Yeah.
That game was within the Vikings' reach, and the quarterback couldn't do a damn thing. And I think that the defense eventually got tired. And plus Detroit, I mean, if you give them enough chances, teams are going to score. The Rams game might be different, but I feel like that Vikings-Lions game, because of the box score and the perception, is misunderstood. Like that was literally Darnold couldn't do anything.
Yeah. It is like as time passes, all that's going to remain is the score of that game. And it looks like the Vikings got boat raced.
Yes.
No, the Vikings spent half the game inside the 10-yard line, unable to complete a pass to wide open receivers.
And the defense didn't play poorly.
No.
And yeah, but to your point, like as that game drags on and the morale just being sucked out of the entire sidelines, like my God.
That?
We literally can't score points inside the 5-yard line, and now we got to get back on the field and hold that offense to nothing. Screw you guys.
Yep.
Not that there's like tension in the building, but
there might be. Who knows?
And also, like the Vikings actually statistically, how many points did they wound up being like 30 points or something? But I think they held the Lions twice under their season average.
They did. You're correct.
So I mean that's pretty.
I take it back in a
impressive.
heartbeat. Yeah, I got no I got no complaints about this.
You have to score 30 points to beat that team. And the Commanders, what was it a 40-41 or 42-28 fight? It's like, okay.
Yes.
Even in a game where the Lions are stumbling all over themselves, they still turning the ball, they still find a way to make you score 30 points offensively to win that game.
Those last two Vikings games were on the offense. Like, I don't look at that and say, defensive implosion. What were you guys doing? The Vikings they gave you 9 points in each game.
Yeah.
Should have been 9-7.
And game flow matters. Like when you give early in the season, especially when the offense jumps out early and now it's 10-0 or it's 17-3. Brian Flores' defense in those situations where it's like, they have to pass and we are going to run smoke and mirrors at you all day long. It's exhausting for opposing teams. But when the offense gets off to a slow start and and now the opposing team can lean on the running game more, that's where this defense has room to improve, which like I know they were a good run stopping defense, but I think a lot of it was game flow early in the year where maybe you weren't getting the opposing team's best punch in the run game because they're down by 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. But I think we all agree that Brian Flores looks like he's coming back, and that's a really good thing for the Vikings. What do you guys think of Ben Johnson, new Chicago Bears head coach, poaching the trick play maestro from the Lions to fix Caleb Williams and a Bears offense that's been mostly garbage for 40 years?
Well, I'm just excited for the receivers, the backs, and the tackles to throw passes.
Oh, it's going to be great. And yeah, the left tackle
throw like
the extra lineman reporting eligible and catching 3 touchdowns.
I think it's a good hire, but my problem is, can Ben Johnson overcome if he is a good coach, which by the way, we know he's a good coordinator. If he is a very good coach, can he overcome the organization? And by that, look at the jobs left right now. Like when Zimmer and Spielman were blown out, right? This remained a great job.
Mm-hmm.
This remained like the building had poisoned or soured, but the actual infrastructure is fantastic here. Like it's really good.
Yep, the ownership is
exactly
sane and
Yep.
interested.
Yep. And my question is, like, there's a reason why the Bears continue to be the Bears, and it's not all the coaches. So my question at the end of the day with the Jets, with the Jaguars, the Raiders, and the Bears is, can the coach overcome the hurdles presented by the dysfunction that exists internally? And I think that's where Ben Johnson's in for a very rude awakening. This would not be my first choice if I had been him. And by the way, he was very choosy. This would not have been my first choice necessarily for a first job, but I understand that the Caleb factor for a guy who considers himself to be a quarterback whisperer was probably too strong to say no.
So, hey, I tweeted this and I tagged Old Takes Exposed, freezing cold takes, just in case they want to bring it back and throw it back at me. I think this is going to be a disaster. It's going to be a tire fire. It's going to be, if you're a Vikings fan, and I know that Mike McCarthy has this kind of, this reputation. He's a buffoon or whatever. The Bears, as an organization, based on what they need, the Bears, as a Vikings fan, I think you would have been worse off if the Bears hired Mike McCarthy to turn that thing around than Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson has never been a head coach before. While Dan Campbell gets to deal with like 50 years of organizational weight and failure, Ben Johnson gets to sit over there and tinker with play designs behind one of the best offensive lines in the league the last 10 years. Weapons everywhere. The front, like if you're doing a pie chart of organizational praise for the Lions, way too many people think Ben Johnson gets like the biggest slice of pie. Start with front office and talent acquisition first, and then Dan Campbell, culture, leadership, all those things. I might even say like some of the work that Aaron Glenn did on defense is up there too. And again, like Ben Johnson has done an incredible job. Scheming, working with Jared Goff, all those things. I'm not saying he's garbage or a fraud or any of those things. But when you look at what he is coming from and going to in Chicago, so start with offensive line. Okay, you go from having probably the best offensive line in the league. It's either them or maybe Philadelphia. There's a couple other teams, but it's like the best offensive line. Massive downgrade with the Bears offensive line. Quarterback, you go from having this precise, on-schedule, intermediate surgeon, Jared Goff, everything. Like, he has a couple blow-up games here and there, but he is like boom, boom, ball out, right? Those crossing routes, everything is timing with that offense. Caleb Williams, he hasn't been on schedule in college. Like the dude, he's made his entire living as a quarterback, scrambling around, keeping plays alive. I would even throw the surface that you play on as a huge difference. Ben Johnson is going from his NFL coaching career. He spent the first half of it in Miami, where it's 80 degrees and a fast track every single game, to indoors, 75, 72 degrees and controlled fast track, to playing outside in windy jungle grass Soldier Field. So I don't know, man. Mike McCarthy has experience in cold NFC North outdoor weather with different types of quarterbacks, different types of organizational chaos in Dallas, Green Bay at times. So I actually think the Vikings dodged a bullet with the Bears hiring Ben Johnson instead of Mike McCarthy.
I'm not willing to go there yet, but I do get the point about the fact that he has never been a coach before, and there's a huge step up. And who knows, McCarthy might have been smart enough to look at that place, because I actually, if you look at the jobs that are open still right now, the Saints job might be the best one, like as far as organizational structure.
Yeah, it is. It is like if you were to group the most like incompetent, chaotic organizations.
I mean, Dallas.
It's the ones that have jobs that are open in the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I think Ben Johnson, I think rolling the dice is fine, but I do think that there's a lot to be learned. And I also think, like, at some point in time, don't we look at the list of coaches that a team has had and said, I wonder if it's not the coach's fault all the time? Like the Bears, look at them. Matt Nagy's our guy. He is the quarterback whisperer from Pat Mahomes. So he's going to come in and bang, fired. Let's go to a defensive guy. Eberflus doing a great job. Bang, fired.
But to that point, they keep bringing in like guys who've had. They want to find the next hot shot Sean McVay because that would be amazing, right?
And the Vikings
and then we compare the 30 something, and the Vikings did it, and they seem to have nailed it because that is ideal. But if you whiff, you've now ruined a third consecutive first round quarterback's career. Sure. Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields and Caleb Williams.
But what goes on there structurally? That's my question. Like there's definitely something behind the scenes that's dysfunctional. Like more than the coach comes in and does a poor job. It feels like there's, and like with Dallas, we know Jerry Jones won't shut up, right? Every game he's talking.
And McCarthy won 12 games 3 years in a row. Despite that,
I'm not saying he's a bad coach.
He can fend it off. And
I think he could go. I think he could go to the Saints and probably have a better job with less QB certainty because I think the Saints allow you to actually run your program.
Yeah, and despite the cap hell that the Saints are like always in, just dating back to the Breeze era.
They should come out of that.
They've been a winning franchise more often than not in the current ownership era, right? So, anyways, we'll see. Maybe I'll just be dead wrong on this, and Ben Johnson is the next Sean McVay, and now you have 4 awesome teams in the NFC North instead of 3.
Well, but what happens in Detroit now? I've got a lot of questions there. Again, I got a lot of questions.
They are still, like we talked about yesterday, they are still a year away from actual cap problems. They still have some space. They're going to bring back players. But, they missed 2 golden opportunities. And to keep pushing that rock, as the Niners found out, to keep pushing that rock up the hill.
Yep.
And to do it while, in the meantime, the Commanders have just kind of passed you because that quarterback's not going anywhere. And we think the Vikings are going to be a problem with the Lions are looking over and saying, okay, we dodged that bullet. Now they're going to have a rookie quarterback. It's like, well, some of these rookie quarterbacks, earmuff spares, played awesome in their first year. Bo Nix, if you've got the right infrastructure, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels.
Exactly.
That's another thing. There's a lot of PTSD here among Vikings fans because Ponder and Tavares Jackson and, you're going to say goodbye to a known commodity twice for a rookie. It doesn't always work out the way that it worked with Ponder. There's a world in which J.J. McCarthy is more like Jaden Daniels in terms of productivity or Bo Nix than right away and not wait 3 years for it.
Best case here is Johnson goes to the Bears, is a bad coach. They continue to be terribly dysfunctional. And then Johnson, who was, a known commodity at OC, so his absence drags the Lions down, and now it's sort of like bowling pins.
It could be great. And then, I don't know, how can we sabotage the Packers? We have to figure that one out.
I think the Packers are just going to be the Packers, which is
competitive. They'll be competitive.
A competitive team, but a very sort of weird playoff team.
It all depends on Jordan Love. If Jordan Love plays at the level he did the final 8 games of 2023, Packers can win a championship. If they're getting turnover Jordan Love and a guy that kind of turtles when there's pressure, they'll still be. They have good infrastructure, good coaching. They got some weapons. Mm-hmm. Hey, one last thing for you guys. It's officially unofficial. If you trust over the cap, the Vikings have a comp pick. It looks like coming. Roku is America's #1 TV streaming platform, and they've been for a while. But now they make a new line of smart TVs, which is what the Mackies have in their living room. A 65-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV that's been great for football viewing and will remain that way into the future here. You can visit sports on your Roku home screen to browse live and upcoming games to see where they're streaming across popular channels. Roku is your home for sports and football viewing, and all you have to do is settle in this weekend, Championship Sunday, pop on that Roku TV. Roku.com to learn more, or shop at a retailer near you. So Over the Cap put out the projected compensatory picks for the 2025 draft, and this has been speculated on, but now it's official. At least, the NFL hasn't announced this, but like over the cap is pretty rock solid here. The Vikings are going to get a late third round comp pick for essentially losing Kirk Cousins to the Falcons on a 4-year, $180 million contract that they benched him for in December.
Breaks my heart.
Oh,
Great
so
TV guy, though.
He might wind up being Grand TV. So you're going to wind up with a 24th overall pick, like the 97th overall pick with this, and then 2 5th-round picks in your stash.
And I think for the last 2 or 3 years now, you can trade a comp pick, too.
You can, yeah.
You didn't. I think they changed that at some point in time. But so you actually could wheel and deal with that 3rd round pick.
Yeah, they've even got like let's see here. They've got like the full formulas. I'm trying to see if I can find.
Oh, they do? I thought that was a secret.
Well, it's as they project it. So
okay,
the Vikings, because it's like how many big time free agents are you signing versus losing?
Yeah, it's a formula.
So it essentially has the Vikings canceling out Danielle Hunter for Andrew Van Ginkel. So it's Hunter, Wanham, Davenport, Jordan Hicks, Osborne out. Grenard, Van Ginkel, Cashman, Shaq Griffin, Sam Darnold in. Those guys cancel out, and Kirk is the outlier because he's considered a 3rd round comp pick. So he's the outlier.
Oh, okay.
there.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go. A little extra draft capital for
they need it
for old Kwesi.
So that's 4 then. 4 picks.
It's 4 picks. It's another 4 picks for Kwesi to botch. If I was being cynical.
Moving back.
They're trading back in the 1st, right?
Yeah.
They're probably going to trade.
But they're going to stay in the 1st, right?
Maybe.
They'll trade back, but stay there.
Trade back to like 30.
I
Pick
mean,
up an extra day 2 pick.
Yeah. I could see that.
And that'll be 5 picks.
Our party
for
will
Kwesi
still be
to
lit.
We'll be 4.5 hours in by the time.
Draft party will
We
be lit.
We will have some announcements on that in the next couple weeks. Venue and ticket information. You know where it's at.
I was trying to play like I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was trying to play like I didn't know.
No, I mean, you might have forgot. It's possible you forgot.
You might have forgotten.
I'm not 75. I'm only 55.
Forgot the name.
I just don't remember people's names. That's
and
all.
Our schedule and some other things.
Well, the schedule. Okay, in my defense, the schedule is flexible at times, so I like to confirm because I write it down each day.
It is flexible, but it's like pretty much.
Pretty much the same, right? But that's not the same. I like to have my day charted out.
Nope.
So I always like to make sure of.
It's like we got the first 15
things?
scripted, and then if we're in a third long, we'll probably
like it was going to be on Monday, but then the Wolves played in the afternoon, so it got shifted to today.
We bumped it.
Yeah, but I mean that's why I like to ask. I'm like Kirk. I'm like Kirk. I drive around in my car with Phil's voice. Okay, at 9:35, it's Royce. At 10 o'clock, it's Purple Daily.
I'm just happy that Judd is an active participant on our Teams chat now too. Like we got Judd on Microsoft Teams.
Well, because now you guys are putting good things on there. For a while there, it was like promo stuff, which is fine, but I'm not involved. But now, like the schedule is on Teams.
Now
I
you
care
gotta
about
be there.
the schedule, so now I play along. Because a lot of times it's like I'll be gone for the rest of the day or something on Teams, and it's just like I don't care if you're gone.
Oh, can you put away messages on Teams?
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna start doing that just to piss off Declan.
Oh yes, there's a way message, but I mean,
well, we can throw him under the bus. The guiltiest party at Score is Ross Brendel, who I think put an "I'm busy down the hallway" away message last week.
I was trying not to say it, but yes, and I just have nothing to add to it.
We got it.
I had some spicy buffalo wings last night, and I'll be in the bathroom for the next 25 minutes.
I'll be installed too down at the end of the second floor. If you need me, just come in, open the door, and yell. Don't come in the bathroom. No matter what you hear, don't come in.
So, all right. Tomorrow, write that down, predictions. And you know what? We're going to throw a little bonus episode of Purple Daily out tomorrow, too, because I don't know if you guys saw, but Jeremy Fowler, former Vikings beat writer, talked to a bunch of people around the league, and he has a very strong opinion for where Sam Darnold's going to wind up. So I think we can kind of revisit some of that tomorrow. Thursday coming up in a couple days. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl. before we die here on Purple Daily.